What's up, guys? How are you? Happy Tuesday. Welcome into another early edition Bets, Survivor, and other picks and plays you guys may want to make for Week 10 in the NFL. He is Pat Fitzmaurice. I'm Matt Perrault. We are here every week, Pat. And wow, revenge of the dogs last week. We saw favorites go down in a big way, including on Monday Night Football with the Cardinals' big win over the Cowboys. How are you?
Doing pretty well. And that one did not give us the festival of scoring we were expecting either, Matt. Came in well short of the 54.5.
Cardinals on the road are an under team, and I didn't bet it, but I did bet the Cowboys, and I did not expect the Cowboys to look that poor offensively in the first half. I was really surprised at the misses and the drops and the mistakes and the fumbles and everything else that went into what happened with the Cowboys game on Monday night. And yeah, that whole division, I'm not sure who the best team in the division is. It's the Eagles by default, but it's now with the Commanders having their injuries to Jaden Daniels, we know the Giants are going south in a hurry. The Cowboys are in reverse. The Eagles are a team that have big questions in their locker room as we head towards the trade deadline. Let's see. And that is something I guess we should, at the top here, we could mention, Pat, that I don't think the NFL is not like baseball or the NBA where one player can dramatically shift the future of a franchise. But there could be some addition by subtraction, or there could be some moves that were made as we head towards the trade deadline that might impact down the road. But for you, nothing that could impact this weekend, right?
No, I think it's probably going to be more of what we've already seen right before the deadline with the Cowboys getting Logan Wilson. Just they need bodies on defense,
Yeah.
and the Ravens need a little more help up front. So they got Draymond Jones to help replace Madubuike. Just minor bits and pieces like that. Wouldn't surprise me if the Packers look to shore up tight end after losing Tucker Kraft, maybe going after David Njoku. Um, like there have been some substantial players involved in rumors like Brees Hall and Brian Thomas Jr. I don't think we see anything like that, though. I think, yeah, like you said, mostly just sort of patching up a spot here or there, guys for mid-range veteran starters for day 3 picks.
Yeah, I would love to see a couple of, haymakers being thrown, but I don't think we're going to see that at the trade deadline. Maybe the Eagles try to continue. They've already done 3 deals, so maybe they would think about making a trade and moving off of one of the wide receivers. But I mean, the dead cap money on A.J. Brown basically makes him untradeable. So
Yeah.
everyone thinking about that trade, don't think that's going to happen. The Patriots clearly want either a running back or a wide receiver. I don't know if one's really going to be out there that would move the needle for them. So we'll watch and see how the deadline goes. Okay, guys, just a reminder of what we do here. 3 bets that we like early in the week. Then we'll give you a survivor lean and then a bet that you should make now because the number might move. Bet number 1 for you, Pat, this week is what?
The Colts -5.5 versus the Falcons in Germany. Matt, can I get you back on the Colts, or are you
No.
still too scarred by what happened
I
last
am.
week?
I am. That is it. I waited for Shane Steichen to turn into a pumpkin. We hit November, and the clock struck 12. No, I cannot get back behind backing the Colts.
So I feel like it's a nice bounce back spot for them. They laid an egg last week in Pittsburgh, no question. And now they get to face an inferior opponent. I think the Colts are probably about a touchdown better than the Falcons on a neutral field. And we do get a neutral field this week in Berlin. So maybe a little road trip is just what the Colts need to get the bad taste of last week's loss to the Steelers out of their mouths. But other than that, like, they have played pretty well against top opponents, and they've taken care of business against the lesser opponents. Um, the Falcons' pass defense is legit, but you can run on the Falcons, whose run defense ranks 24th in DVOA. This looks like another big game for Jonathan Taylor after kind of a quiet one last week in Pittsburgh. And the Colts have a sneaky special teams advantage here. They rank 8th in special teams DVOA. The Falcons are 28th.
Ooh.
And the Falcons, part of that 28th spot ranking, Falcons have a big problem at kicker. As you know, Matt, their kicker missed a pretty big extra point against their Patriots late that cost Atlanta a chance at going to overtime. So, and just overall against the spread this year, the Colts are 6-3, the Falcons are 2-5-1. So one of these teams has been a pretty good place to invest your money, and the other has been pretty unreliable.
For me, my number 1 bet goes to Thursday night. And look, I don't want to completely blindly follow this dog trend that we saw last week, but I do think that in a divisional game, on a Thursday night for both teams. 9.5 points is just too heavy. And the Raiders are a competent football team on offense when they have Brock Bowers. He had 3 touchdown catches last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We have seen the defense for the Broncos be taken apart by by tight ends this year, as their linebackers aren't great in coverage. And as long as Geno Smith is not throwing picks, and he tends to throw picks at home, not on the road, Ashton Jeanty has really been a nice addition to this team. And I know people said, don't take a quarterback or a running back in the top 10. Jeanty has been a good weapon for this team, scored again last weekend. Anytime touchdown's been very profitable with Ashton Jeanty. I just think it's a divisional game in November, Pat, and these are games where I'm taking points. You want to give me 9.5 points for the Raiders to go on the road? I don't think they win the football game, but I do think they're going to be in the football game. I would be surprised if they get blown off the field at Mile High. Give me the points. I like the Raiders plus 9.5.
I like this call. And the Broncos defense is really good. No question about it. Maybe the best in the NFL. I think it's between them and Houston. But with Bowers and Jeanty, the Raiders do have big play potential here, and that's what they have to do if they're going to stay in this game. Like make a couple of big plays. I think they can do it. Also, Matt, like this Denver offense, really good offensive line, but like the playmakers they have don't really scare me. I mean, Bo Nix is averaging 6.1 yards per attempt. He's had a couple of big games. I mean, he had a big fourth quarter against the Giants in that comeback. But for the most part, he has been worse than he was as a rookie.
Yep.
So I totally agree with your angle on the division to a Thursday night game, which can feel disjointed sometimes. It wouldn't be surprising to me at all if the Raiders hung around throughout this game.
And look, there's a lot of animosity here in the market. I'm in Vegas around the fact that this coaching staff was brought in to win right now, and they just keep on losing. I mean, I think everybody in town supported the call to go for 2. They did not support the play call to try to win the football game. I mean, you're on the 2-yard line. It's a 2-point play, and like we didn't learn in the Super Bowl, Pete. Like we didn't why are we throwing the football and have it be batted down at the line of scrimmage, and that's how you lose the football game? That left everybody with a pretty nasty taste in their mouth, given the fact that, again, Bowers and Jeanty are your 2 big weapons. You have to make sure they get a crack at the football in those moments and maybe just run the ball. I don't know, maybe just give the ball to the big guy and try to push your way into the end zone. So that I think is going to have this coaching staff. Chip Kelly, I think, feels like he could be one and done here as the offensive coordinator here in Vegas. They need to go and show that they can beat opponents, divisional opponents. And when it's November and I'm catching nearly 10 points in a divisional game, I'm taking the Raiders. Bet number 2 for you. Where are you going?
I'm going with the Giants and the Bears over 48.5 points. The Cowboys and Bengals have been the most obvious over teams this season with their powerful offenses and terrible defenses. But I think the Bears are kind of a sneaky over team too, Matt. Do you know how many plays of 10 or more yards there were in that Bears-Bengals game last week?
30?
Like, I almost spit out my coffee when I saw this on Monday morning. There were 43 plays of 10 or more yards in that game.
Yep, I buy it.
43. Joe Flacco had 10 completions against the Bears that gained 20 or more yards. Like, there was no defense in that game whatsoever. The Bears have been playing without their 2 best cornerbacks, Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon. They just lost edge rusher Dio Odangbo to a torn Achilles, and
You
they
can
have a
say that.
couple of other defensive contributors out. So, yeah, this defense is totally decimated. But the offense, Matt, the Bears' offensive line is starting to kick some butt. I know the Bengals' defense isn't any sort of real litmus test for an offensive line, but Chicago's O-line has been playing really well for a while now. And they made a change at left tackle. They put in Theo Beneday. He's been okay, but the other 4 guys have just been fantastic. So the Bears are sort of the catalyst for the over here, but the Giants can do their part too. Jackson Dart continues to impress, and now he gets a great matchup against this injury-riddled defense. And the Giants' defense is banged up in the secondary too. So they didn't have 2 of their cornerbacks last week, Paulson Adebo, Cordell Flott, both out. And Mac Jones averaged nearly 10 yards per pass attempt against the Giants last week and only had 5 incompletions all game. So we are going to see the offenses go up and down the field, not to the extent that we did in Bengals Bears, but I think Giants Bears is playing over to 48.5. I mean, I think this is going to play well over 50.
Yeah, weather's the only question, right? We just have to make sure that we got everything. I mean, look, I think from a Bears perspective, if you're a Bears fan, you feel like you got a coach. You feel like Ben Johnson is the guy. You feel like everything is rounding into form. You look at the division, you look at the conference, like things are looking up. Like there was a bit of a swoon there with Caleb, and things weren't going in the right direction, and now they have rectified that and changed that, and now they're going forward. I'm with you on points, though. I think we're going to see offense. My only worry is just the Giants, no Scatterbo, and you have a banged up receiving core without Malik Neighbors. They just need to find ways to move the football. As long as they get to like 17 points, I think you're probably good. I think you probably get there.
And Jackson Dart, man, the guy's resourceful. He's doing
Right.
it. As for the weather, chilly in Chicago this Sunday, Matt,
Okay.
and we might see our first snowflakes of the year on very early on Sunday morning, but gone. I don't think there's going to be any precipitation for the game. So just kind of cold.
Yeah, we bet wind. We don't bet weather. That's my line on that. So without the wind, we're good. But it is Chicago, so check the wind there on that. It's one reason why I think the number is 48, not higher than that. But open at 45.5 has been bet up for a reason. For me, last week I came on here and I was telling everyone I was going to bet the Niners. And then the Niners got a little bit cute with the quarterback situation, and it pissed me off because I couldn't fire on it. Because I'm like, am I getting Purdy or am I getting Jones? Who's playing? And so ultimately, it was not Brock Purdy. It was Mac Jones. And he played well. And they went and put up a big number, and they won, and they covered the 2.5 easily. And I was like, man, I just should have stuck with my guns from Tuesday. I said, bet the Niners 2.5 on Tuesday. And then I choked on my own handicap because of what happened with the quarterback position being so uncertain. This time around, I'm going to try really hard to stay with this. I'm taking the Bucs. The Patriots are my team, and the Patriots have been very good for the last 6 weeks. The problem for me is that the Patriots are facing a defense that's going to make it very difficult for this receiving core, even with their injuries. I think this is where the Patriots and their lack of real weapons finally gets exposed. And the Patriots defense, I think, even with Mike Evans not being out there, the Patriots defense is going to have a difficult time. The level of competition for the Patriots, they've beaten up on all the bad teams. Okay. They've been handed this beautiful schedule to go to 7-2. And I am ecstatic about where Mac Jones, 40 and slip, where Drake May is with this offense under Josh McDaniels. But I am not getting involved with this game from a Patriot perspective. I am 100% laying the 2.5 now before it goes to 3. I think once the limits open up, I think the pros are going to be all over it. I don't want to lay a lot of points here this weekend after getting burned last weekend with laying big favorites. But I think the Bucs bring the Patriots down to earth a little bit here. I like the Bucs minus 2.5.
I've kept waiting for the Patriots to have that toe stubbing, Matt, and it just doesn't happen. It hasn't been.
It's the competition, though. I mean, it's hard.
Right.
It's hard to do that against bad football teams because they stub their toe right back.
That's true, and we are getting a game against a good team. Although sometimes I feel like the Buccaneers are a slightly above average team, sort of masquerading as a good team. I'm not sure about that, but then again, I think that, and I bet the Seahawks heavily at home against the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers went in and upset them. I guess I'm just never quite at ease with the idea of betting Baker Mayfield as a favorite.
Right.
I love betting him as a dog. As a favorite, I don't know if I trust it so much. So, to me, I think this line is about where it should be. So, you have your finger on the pulse of the Patriots, though. So I trust you on this one. For me, it's a layoff, but I get it.
I just think when you look at the weapons and look at the quarterbacks that the Patriots defense have faced over the last month and a half, Baker is a big step up. Like you're taking a big step up in competition. The offensive line is getting healthier for the Bucs. I think that defense is going to blitz like crazy. And look, maybe if I'm wrong, I'm ecstatic. Like if Drake May goes in there and balls out, but there's questions about Butte being hurt and he may not be available in this game. That means it's just Diggs and the tight ends to throw to. Maybe they make a big trade at the deadline to bring in a wide receiver to help them out, but I don't think that helps this week. Maybe it helps in the future. I just wonder about this Patriot receiving core. At some point, this offense is going to bog down based upon who they're playing and who they have on their roster. I love Drake May, but my gosh, like you really dig down deep and look at the weapons he's got. Like he's not throwing to anything. Stephon Diggs is off an ACL. Okay, you say, well, Diggs is good. He's off an ACL injury. He's not the same player that he was in Buffalo. So I just think this is a game where the Patriots get a taste of, okay, we are the best of the bad teams, but we're not a good team. Like we're not in the same. I think the Buccaneers are a legitimate threat to be in San Francisco. I like the Bucs a ton. My biggest bet in the preseason was on the Bucs to win the division at plus 110. Now I didn't know Mike Evans would blow his knee out, or his collarbone out, but fine. The injuries happen. I like the Bucs coming up here this week. For you, oh god, yeah.
I was just going to say, and Baker's going to need to have a big game because I'm just the Patriots run defense just continues to impress. Like Bijan Robinson couldn't get anything going against them on the ground last week. And, I think they get Bucky Irving back, the Buccaneers, which certainly helps. And that's maybe something that isn't even baked into this number for this game. But still, I mean, like it's going to have to be a lot of Baker. He's going to have to outduel Drake May.
Right. For you, bet number 3, where are we going?
We are going to go with the Lions laying 8.5 on the road against the Commanders. I don't like taking road favorites with a number like this, Matt, but I just think this is a blowout spot. The Lions just embarrassed by the Vikings at home, had their noses bloodied. Since the start of the 2023 season, the Lions are 9-0 straight up in the games after a loss, and they've won those games by an average of 15.1 points. Meanwhile, the Commanders just saw their season pretty much go up in a puff of smoke with Jaden Daniels dislocating his elbow late in a blowout loss. I'm sure some of the players are probably wondering why Jaden Daniels was still in the game at that point. They also lost Marshawn Lattimore to a torn ACL and Luke McCaffrey to a broken collarbone. Just a disastrous loss to the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday night for the Washington Commanders. Jared Goff struggled last week for the Lions, but this looks like a get-right spot for him. The Commanders' pass defense is just a sieve. They're giving up a league-high 8.8 yards per pass attempt. That's more than half a yard worse than the Dallas Cowboys, Matt. And the Lions are coming into D.C. with a chip on their shoulders, while morale for the Commanders is probably at rock bottom. So I'll happily lay the 8.5 here. I think the Lions win this one big.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I got burned so badly last week with these favorites, but this should be a money line parlay. I mean, this should be part of any money line parlay that you put in. I cannot see the Lions losing this game outright, in particular for what happened last week. Even going outdoors, how do you feel about the building Washington? Because there's a lot of players that are feeling like it's not just, one time, it's been 5-10 times where players, because of that field, getting hurt and getting seriously hurt, whether it be Alex Smith or Joe Theismann, whether it be now Jaden Daniels, whether it be RG3. It just feels like there's been so many Commander star players who've gotten hurt that I want the Lions to come out of this game healthy. Like, don't get anybody really seriously hurt because of that darn field.
Yeah, I know MetLife always gets the bad rap for people getting hurt, but yeah, Washington seems to be a Bermuda Triangle too.
Yeah, really bad. Finally, for me, and this one I've been kind of bouncing around with, it's more of a numbers play for me. Again, back to November and divisional games. I like the Rams a lot. I have the Rams pretty high on my power ratings, but the 49ers are at home with their backs are against the wall, and I'm going to catch 3.5 points. Once this number got over 3 and got to 3.5, I went, okay, I think San Francisco can do enough at home defensively with Robert Saleh, with this offense and Christian McCaffrey, to keep this to be a 3-point game one way or the other. I like the hook here with the 49ers, and just look, the Rams are on paper the best team in the division, but the Niners aren't dead. I bet the Niners to win the division. They're not dead. Mac Jones showed me something last week. I didn't trust him. I should have bet it. I'm going to bet him this week. Give me the 3.5 points. I want the home dog Niners plus 3.5 against the Rams this coming weekend.
If you're betting them and taking the points, Matt, I think you might as well just parlay it with the over, because I think they're gonna have to score a lot to win this game. Like,
Yep.
they just keep taking hits on defense, man. I mean, it was already Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, and now they lost Michael Williams, their rookie edge rusher last week. Just like the hits keep coming for the 49ers. I don't know how Saleh keeps doing it, and to do it this week against a really good offense. Man, if he can hold the Rams under like 23 points, I'll be just, incredibly impressed by Robert Saleh. So, yeah, I get it. I do think they can keep pace offensively though with the Rams. I just wonder if they can stop the Rams on
First
defense.
matchup was 26-23 Niners on the road. I don't. Again, I think the Rams win, but I think this is a numbers play, and I want the hook. I got 3.5 on this. I think it could be a 3-point win for the Rams on the other side, and we cover with a three with a 3.5. And I mean, watch the injury report. Obviously, watch this number as it grows. You could see as the limits open up, you might see some people come in, but we've seen the Niners in divisional games at home under Kyle Shanahan just figure out a way. And this is a weird division where different coaches own different coaches. And the Niners have had a very good mark against the Rams. McVay is great, but it's like McVay dominates the Cardinals, but the Niners dominate the Rams. It's just sort of like one of these weird situations as to who plays who. And then Seattle, I mean, I don't know what to do with Seattle laying 6.5 points. That's the other game I was looking at, because to me, I want to take the Cardinals catching 6.5 points on the road, because Mike McDonald is an unbelievable coach on the road, but he stinks at home and stinks against the number at home, which makes no sense, but it could be Jacoby Brissett. So I have a lot of eyeballs today or this week on the NFC West. I want to see how this whole thing shakes out, because we're into a part of the year where we're going to find out the haves and the have-nots, I think, after this weekend.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, this rivalry, the McVay Shanahan rivalry well, until the 49ers beat the Rams earlier this year, I think McVay had gotten 3 straight, but some of those were close games. Before that, it had all been Shanahan in this series. So I do think you've got that working in your favor. Like, I like this play.
Yeah, again, when we get to November, I start looking at numbers, and it starts to become more lessening about the X's and O's and more about the market and where the market
Yeah.
is. So, like, I like the Bucks minus 2.5. I like a home dog in the Niners. I like a divisional plus 9.5 again with the Raiders. Like, it's I think we get caught thinking and watching a lot of times as gamblers and as sports fans, what our eyes are telling us, and I try to like get away from the breaking down of the plays and the X's and O's and start looking at the market and like what the market
Yeah.
is dictating to, and then taking shots on the market, because you're going to get numbers that could benefit you. So early in the week, getting a plus 3.5, early in the week, getting a plus 9.5. I think if you're going to fire early, and you guys are watching this show to fire early, I think you could fire on numbers and then come back in game. Like if you have 9.5 on the Raiders going into that game, if it winds up being 2.5 in game for the Broncos, you go ahead and take the Broncos, and you've got a great middle right there in between. So I think if you bet it early, I think you're going to have some chances to come back and get a middle in some of these games coming up for this week. All right, before we do Survivor, guys, today's show is being brought to you by Hard Rock Bet. This is the golden time of the year. There's not just pro football to bet, but there's NBA, college football, hockey, all on the same stage. There's always something fun to bet on. If you haven't tried your first bet yet at Hard Rock Bet, you can still do so. $150 in bonus bets if you place a $5 wager, and when it hits, you not only get the winnings, but you also get $150 in bonus bets. If you're looking for an edge before you lock it in, check out the Hard Rock Bet, the stats hub on the app. It's loaded with trends, streaks, and stats you can use to help you make better plays. Numbers don't lie, and neither does the data. Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook is the only legal sportsbook in the state of Florida, but it's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado. Coming soon to more states like where I am in Nevada. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos every single day. So whenever you're listening, just open up the app and check out what you've got any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. Full disclosure on Survivor, guys, we don't know where you guys are or who you have left, but we're going to give you some options as to what you could use if you do have one of these teams available. We're into November, so first and foremost, congratulations. You got past Halloween for Survivor pools. That's pretty cool. The Circus Survivor here in Nevada is getting down to the, under 1,500 left of the 18,000 plus that started back in week number 1. But for Survivor this week, Pat, who do you like?
Well, I know a lot of people have fired their big guns already, Matt, but my favorite play is a team that a lot of people are going to have readily available. It's the Carolina Panthers
Oh
at home
my.
against the New Orleans Saints. And it's not so much because we saw Carolina handle the Green Bay Packers. It's more about where the Saints are at or where the Saints are not at. Like they're just not a good team right now. This offense is broken.
Yeah.
Like it was not ever functioning at a high level this season, but at least Spencer Rattler was sort of avoiding mistakes. But now they've lost their best offensive lineman, Eric McCoy, their center. He's out for the year. They aren't going to have Talise Fuaga, one of their other starting offensive linemen this week. Tyler Shuck, just not very good so far. Alvin Kamara just looks like he's done. Like he just, he has been awful this year. So the defense, like not very good against the pass. They just have big problems. Whereas the Panthers have fielded a very professional defense this year, and I think they have enough on offense now with Rico Dowdle really putting a charge into their running game in recent weeks. So I think they're going to take care of business and beat the Saints at home. And obviously, the appeal is that this is your one time to use the Panthers, and when a lot of other teams, like if you still have, obviously, I like the Lions. Gave them as a pick earlier. I do think they roll, but I can understand why some people would have reservations about taking the Lions, an indoor team, in an outdoor road game. And I think the Broncos are going to appeal to some people who haven't used them, Matt. But of all your bets, like Raiders to cover is my favorite. Divisional game Thursday nights. I'm not feeling supremely confident that the Broncos win that game. Most likely, sure, but
Yeah.
like I'd rather just. Plus, they're a kind of a chalk team. There are going to be other opportunities to use them if you haven't already. And I think probably for a lot of the people still alive, they've already spent the Broncos already.
Yeah.
But Panthers, they're out there for anyone.
I think the Bears, to kind of follow your line of should be available, you're getting into the point of the season where you have most likely used the big guys, right? You've used the Lions, you have used the Chiefs, you have used even probably the Ravens at some point. You probably have used, maybe you're dead if you use the Ravens, but you have used some of these bigger weapon teams, the Colts, the Patriots. You've already crossed them off and used them because they're playing inferior opponents. I think now you have to focus in on mediocre teams playing inferior opponents. And we talked about it already about the Bears offense against that Giants defense and also about the Giants offense against the Bears defense. I think the Bears win the game. I'm not sure they cover, but we've seen Jackson Dart on the road. He's a different quarterback than he is at home, as most rookies are. So this is in Chicago. You have a home crowd. You could have, you mentioned it, some weather, might be a little bit chilly there. Jackson Dart's not a kid who's played in weather all that much. Nobody talks about that the guy plays football at Ole Miss. I believe he's from Florida. He's not a cold weather guy. So we'll see how he handles the weather and the wind in Chicago. I like the Bears. If you have the Bears available for Survivor, I think it's a good look to take Chicago.
Yeah, their defense does terrify me, but you make a pretty good case.
We'll see how that one. It's in the chalk play of the week. I think everyone you mentioned already with the Lions are going to be a chalk play. I do think people, if you haven't used Buffalo yet, I think people are going to look at Buffalo, but it's a road game and a divisional game. I wouldn't do it. I don't think Miami wins that game. I wouldn't do it. I don't mind your Colts. If you have the Colts available and you got to find them, I don't mind taking them, but it's an international game. As a Survivor play with an international game, that could be dangerous, but I do think the Colts win. Just not sure they cover the 6.5 points up against the Falcons coming up for this weekend.
And with that Miami Buffalo game, let's not forget Miami very nearly knocked off the Bills in Buffalo earlier this year. If not for that, like really dumb roughing the punter penalty, like that game could have turned out totally different.
Fair. Good point. Guys, track these bets and get line alerts straight to your phone by downloading the BettingPros app with Sportsbook Sync. Automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. Easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays. Create custom betting systems to find winning trends and profitable opportunities. New users can get 6 months of BettingPros Premium free with your first deposit and wager at one of our partner sportsbooks. To learn more, log on to bettingpros.com/premium. All right. A bet you would make right now before the number moves. What would it be, Pat?
Jaguars, Texans under 38.5. I think it's going lower than 38.5, Matt. I want to get this now before we get more injury news coming out, because Texans quarterback CJ Stroud has a concussion. He is probably not going to play in this game unless they really try to breeze him through the concussion protocol, which I don't know if that would be too kosher with the NFL.
Right.
Then on the other side, you've got the Jaguars, who were already without number 2 overall draft pick Travis Hunter. Now they're probably going to be without Brian Thomas Jr., who hurt his ankle in week 9. And they also lost De'Ami Brown to a concussion. So the Jaguars are likely going to be down to Parker Washington, Tim Jones, and Austin Trammell at wide receiver. That's a pretty tough situation when you're going up against a team like the Texans, who might have the best defense in the league, either Texans or Broncos or maybe Seahawks. So on one side, you've got a team with no wide receivers and a pretty inconsistent quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, going against a great defense, and that team with a great defense has a backup quarterback playing behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league. So I don't know where the points are coming from in this game, Matt. I feel pretty good about under 38.5.
I like it. I like it a lot. And I think we're going to see a couple. We have not had the weather weekend yet, and I'm not sure this is going to be, but we haven't had that really low scoring weekend yet in the NFL, and this one could be it. This game could be it as well, with a 17-14 type final, low scoring game for both. For me, it just goes right back to Thursday night, and because I look at the market right now as we tape this on Tuesday morning, FanDuel and DraftKings are at 9.5 for the Raiders. Circa Sports here in Vegas is at 8.5. That's a 1-point difference involving the team that's playing in this game. So people are getting involved. The pros are getting involved, going to Circa Sports, a sharp book, and even before the limits open, they're coming in looking to drive this number down. Now, there could be a fear factor there where all of a sudden come kickoff when the limits open up, that everyone comes pouring in on the Broncos. But I can get 9.5 in the market right now. I don't think that's the closing number. I do think it comes down. I do think you could get 2 or 3 points of closing line value here on this one. It's just a divisional game. 9.5 points on a Thursday is too many points. I think if you want in on it, you got to fire it now, because I don't think that number is going to be around for long with the Raiders plus 9.5.
Yeah, I agree. Take advantage. This line is going to move.
It can move fast. So we'll see where that winds up going. Guys, one more reminder, you guys can score 6 months of BettingPros Premium for free. Just make a deposit and place a wager at a partner sportsbook. Premium gives you access to the Sharp AI, the BettingPros betting systems, the prop bet cheat sheet, and the same game parlay builder. All tools you need to bet smarter. Claim your upgrade now at bettingpros.com/premium. All right, Pat, on the way out, any closing thoughts looking ahead to week 10?
No, that's it. Yeah, I'm a little worried, Matt, that we do get the rock fight NFL weekend, especially with the Bengals and Cowboys both on bye, because teams that can score points and give up points by the barrel full, and that leaves us with credible defenses and maybe a few lesser offenses all playing. So yeah,
Right.
This might not be a wildly exciting NFL weekend, but hey, they're all pretty exciting relatively. So
Back to the drawing board for those defenses in Cincinnati and Dallas.
yes,
Not good. Byes coming at a good time for them, trying to figure out how to stop somebody, in particular coming up with Dallas after that loss to the Cardinals. Not a good performance at all. He is Pat Fitzmaurice. I am Matt Perrault. We're back each and every week breaking down NFL survivor picks, early bets, and bets to make in the week. We're back next week for week 11 right here on the Betting Pros YouTube channel.